Hi everyone and welcome at your guitar workshop. My name is Andre and today we're going to do the third and final lesson on The Wide Ocean by Tommy Emmanuel. If you missed the first two lessons, no worries, just go to the video description, you'll find both of them there. Also, if you need the tablature, it's available on my Patreon page. But that's pretty much what I needed to say, so let's get started on the first chords and picking patterns. The first section that we're going to be working on comes after the bridge. So the bridge is that part where you play this, right? And these are bars 57 to 64. So I'll play the first four bars for you first, and then we'll get into how to play those on the guitar. Here we go. Something like that. So what do? You start off with pinky and ring finger in 7th position of your E and G string, and thumb is going to be in 5th of your low E string. Remember that low E needs to be tuned down to D, but I'm still referring to it as an E string, as if we're in standard tuning. Then what you do is, with the pick, you play the E string, middle finger plays G, and ring finger plays B. And you sort of do a forward roll there. Then you play D, then remove your pinky, put your pointer finger on 5th of E, and play B and E together. Play that D string once more, and then put your pointer finger on 5th of B string, thumb and ring finger are still in place, and you play G and B and D string, and make a hammer with your pinky on 7th of B, like that. And then with your ring finger you play open E, like this. Then you get the next bar, which is bar 58, and there you play this, which is sort of covered by in a previous part. So you have your thumb in 5th again, ring finger and pinky in 7th of G and B. You just play E string, D string, and then you strum down, up, down on your G, B, and E. So, and then you follow by another E string, low E string. Right? So you got. Then you play the following parts. So essentially your ring finger is still in the same place as is your thumb. You put your pointer finger in 5th of your E string, and you play E, B, and high E together, and you make a hammer with your pinky in 7th of your E string. And you continue to play that low E string on every beat and also on the off beat, so like this. Then you remove your pinky again, play both E strings, bass. Then you put your pointer finger on 5th of B, play E, G, and B together, and make a hammer with your pinky in 7th of your B string. And then you play open E and B string, like this. When you, by the way, play that last part with open B, open E, 7th on B, and you also add your B string there, your low E string, right? Then you just sort of strum the chord that you've got now, right? Which is 5th of E, open D, 7th of G and B, and open high E string. And you just play down, down, up, down, 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 followed by an open E string, right? So those 4 bars together, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we go to the next 4 bars, which are 61 to 64. I'll play them for you, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. 2. All right. So what do? So of course, this thing sort of starts on the previous bar on the 4 and, where you play that open E string, right? Then what you do with your pointer finger flat on 5th of B and E, you play it and slide it up to 7th. Then you go back to 5th, play that, play open D, then middle finger in 3rd of B, pointer finger in 2nd of E, play that, and then put your pinky in 5th of B and ring finger in 4th of G. All right, so you got. Then you got 2 beats of nothing, and then you play 2nd of G, middle finger 3rd of B, and back to that pinky in 5th of B and ring finger in 4th of G, like this. So those 2 bars together, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay. Then you get this part. So what do? So what you have now is your pointer finger in 2nd of E, pinky in 5th of B, and ring finger is in 4th of G. Now what you do is you play with your ring finger, you play E, E, then you play G and B together with middle finger and ring finger, and then you play B and E together, like this. Open E, then play G and B again, and then B and E together. All right, so you got. Then you go back to that G and B again. So this is all the same chord, right? There's nothing to it. And then you start with that melody again from the intro. Okay? So those 4 bars together, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then. All right, so now we're going to go to the next section, which is also 8 bars long. I'll play it for you, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. And just to be clear, I'm going to start this with that little pickup line, right? To make this, because that's sort of part of it. Here we go. All right, so what do? Now, these 8 bars are pretty much exactly the same as what you have in the beginning. So I'm not going to go through bars 65 and 66. So this part. So that's actually the first part where it goes, where it's different. So you got. And then you play open B, and then you play 7th position of that G string, like that. So, and this is again the same, and then you get that starting melody again. So it's the same, and here we have another change. So we play both E strings together, open B, 7th of G. And then we sort of strum E and D string, right? So like this, play D string and then E string in. So you got this. And then you go to put your middle finger on 7th of E. You play that part of it, and that's where it sort of stops. So you just hang on to it, right? And that's all there is to it. So this is pretty much exactly the same as in the beginning, just with a few variations in there. All right, so now for the next 8 bars, also here, a lot of repetition. I'll see if I can go through it rather quickly. I'm not really sure, but let me just play it for you, and then we'll get to the tutorial part of it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. right, so what do? First of all, you have your thumb and pointer finger on 5th of both E strings. And your ring finger is sort of already prepared on 7th of your G string because you're going to be needing it. And your pinky is going to be doing some hammer-ons. So what do? Essential for this part is that your pick is going to be playing on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So that's an ongoing thing throughout those first 4 bars. Actually, yes, throughout the first 4 bars. So what do? You play E, B, and E string. So those 3 together with pick, middle finger, ring finger. And at the same time, you make a hammer with your pinky in 7th of E. So like this. Then you play bass. Then you remove your pinky, play E, B, and E again. Bass. Put your pointer finger in 5th of B. And play E, G, and B. And make a hammer with your pinky in 7th. And then you play E, B, and E. Like that. So you got... Then you keep playing that bass string, so 1 and 2 and on the 2 and you strum E, D, and G string. I'm still holding that same chord, by the way, but you can see that, right? So you got 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then you get a repeat of the first bar. Then again you play the bass note twice, 1 and then on the rest, you play E and D string together. And on the 4 and, you play open, E, and A. Like that. All right, so that those 4 bars together, 3, 4, and... That open E and A are part of what comes in the next 4 bars. So let me play those for you first with that one pickup note and see where we go. So here are quite a few differences with what we've had in similar parts. So what do? So the first part is sort of the same. So you started with that pickup, those pickup notes, then 5th position again on B and E with your pointer finger, sliding up to 7th, and then going back to 5th on B and E. So like this. Open D, then 3rd of B and 2nd of E, to 5th of E and 4th of G. So this is sort of what we've done before. And this here is what you sort of keep as a chord. Then in bar 78, things are going to get different. So what are you going to be playing is you're going to be playing E, E, D, E. Then you put your, you have 3rd of B and pointer finger 2nd of G. And you go back to your bass notes. You got... Then you put your ring finger and pinky back where they were. Play that, play open E. And then you put your pointer finger back on that 2nd position of your E string. And you play E, B, and low E together twice. Then you play open E. Then you play G and B. And then B and E. Right? So you got... Then you play open E again. And then you play E, G, and B. And then E, B, and E. Like that. Okay? So, together, those 4 bars, 3, 4, and... All right, that brings us to the next section of 8 bars. Let me play them for you first, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. right, so what do? Actually, the end is a little bit tricky because it has this repeat in it, and this is pretty fresh for me still, so I do regularly make mistakes there. But let's get started. So obviously, it starts with that pickup line, which is second position, hammer on to fifth on E string. Play that fifth position again and slide up to seventh like this. And then you turn that into a chord. So you play open, so you play fifth position of E, then open D, and then put your pointer finger in fifth position of your high E string and play B string with it. Right? So you go. Then you play that E string once more. Then put your pointer finger on fifth of B together with your ring finger. Play it together. Make that hammer on with your pinky and seventh of B. And then with your ring finger and middle finger, plug B and E like this. So you got. Then you get a strummy part, sort of. So you play E. Then with a down and up stroke, you play E and D. So I get. Then you play just the E string, then E and D, and then E twice, like this. All right, so when you got the first two bars with a pickup, then you sort of repeat that. We actually did that in this tutorial already. And then you get the sort of the same strumming part, but now it's all with E and D together. So you got this. So down, down, up, down, down, down. And then you play open E and A. And then we got the slidey part again. And then you go into this part. So you have your ring finger and still from this chord, right? And fourth of G, and you play E, A, D, G. Now you remove that pinky and ring finger and put down middle finger and pointer finger in second position and third position of G and B. Right? So. All right, so now we got sort of a little bit of a tricky part. Starts out with your pinky in 5 and ring finger in fourth of G. Pinky, by the way, is on the B string. And you play E, G, and B together. Play open E. Then you play second position of E, then B and E together, then E string, and then you play G and B. It's like this. And then we get to a part which just gets repeated over and over, and that goes like this. So you have that same shape. You play both E strings together, then D string, and then you play G and B together, then B and E together, then you play E string, and then G and B again. The only thing that you really do with it is just put it into repeat, and that's sort of the fade out part of this song. So you got this. And that's the end of it. All right, so let's try to play those last 8 bars together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. And that's it. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Check the website for more information. If you need the tablature, go to patreon.com/YourGuitarWorkshop. Keep practicing, keep playing, and I hope to see you again sometime. Bye.